when she and I talked about it, she understood that. I gave her a couple of days to think about it. I let her pick when she presented, first, second, third, 30th, it made no difference as long as we did it before the report card. And I also gave her the option to not present in front of the whole class. She thought about it a bit. We talked about the process that we were doing. We did a couple of presentations every day and then back to the lesson and then a couple. She did the presentation. She did a great presentation. The students evaluated her presentation and gave her 11.5 out of 12. And she, based on the feedback she received, she said she would do another presentation. So 21st century learning is about the process we go through, not which chapters we cover. And we're giving value to that process. And that little event that happened in that grade 9 class was a perfect example of how that grade 8 child would be comfortable. In my opinion.
I tell a story about once in my career when I was teaching English 8 and some of my students were presenting. And I think this girl was probably an introvert. And I recall, and I want to go away from the whole presentation notion because I think that part of what you're thinking is that every student's going to be up there presenting, perhaps, okay. Because I think that there's a few people in this room that would be, I think, introverts, okay, who happen to be presenting tonight. And so I say that because I think that within the value of this model, it is meeting the needs of kids academically, the whole process of learning, the whole understanding of how they learn in a collaborative model with a lot of teacher support, along with the development of them socially, emotionally. Because I think as parents, when we send our kids to school, we want them to be meeting the academic development that we want them to achieve. But at the same time, we want them to develop as full citizens who can participate with others in their learning. And I think that with our traditional model of schooling, which I always concern myself with, sometimes when I walk down a hall and I see all the learners sitting in rows and the teacher transmitting that information, I get a little perturbed. And I get a little perturbed for the very reason that I know that the research says that as we speak about our learning with others, that we learn more, okay? Because I think part of it is that we honor the gifts of others as we work together. So when I'm working and collaborating with people in this room, I sit back, and I'm the principal of the building, and I often want to say a lot, but I sit back because I know that around that table are so many gifts that people could bring. And I think that the introvert in that classroom, this is the opportunity for them to have a moment of time and a gift of time. Because I think often the people who like to speak get too much airtime, and we have to give those students that opportunity to work within that collaborative environment, which will be, how shall I say, designed by teachers to help them bring out those pieces, okay? And I know myself personally, again, I have a learner at home, and he is very reflective. He's not going to be spitting out those answers, okay? He needs time to think. And I think that those are the opportunities that we can, while we work together and collaboratively work as teachers together, that we can remind each other to slow down, allow our students that opportunity to learn. And so I think that in terms of that student, whether it be the introvert or the person who likes to take up too much airspace, that this is an opportunity for us to actually hone those skills. And so there's a little bit of that. So anyway, that's my bit of my little story, and I kind of got off on a tangent because I was going to say that when I had this grade 8 a girl presenting, she fainted on me. So I think as a teacher, I was just horrified by that because she was so nervous and so anxious that she fainted. And so I think as a collaborative team of teachers, it gives us an opportunity to work together to understand our students more, so that more introverted teacher that I'm working with can say, stop, slow down. And I'm going to look over at Miss Sunday over there, okay? Because we've worked together for about the last, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years. And we know those students who quietly sit back that we know we have to bring in. And it's just a good reminder.
Yes. Can I give you this? I've had 3 students at Dover, and unfortunately, my youngest will graduate before this program is in place. But so my comments are perhaps from a slightly different perspective. 2 of them are in university right now, and I think your comments about having confidence to speak with the teacher is huge, and if you can encourage that now, I think that's very important. My sons are both academically quite strong, but the whole concept of challenging a teacher at some point, which is what you need to do at university level learning, is just not in their books. It's not something they're comfortable with at all. And they're struggling to learn that part. So I think that's a very strong positive thing. If that can come out of here, that would be great. One other thing that I would just suggest is that this whole concept of project-based learning is not necessarily brand new. As you are researching, I would encourage you to look back at programs 30 years ago. I know I was in a high school that had what was called then mini school, and it was a group of students, and it was a lottery-based, who were pulled out in grade 8 and 9, and it was a special program for them. And the only reason it ended was the building had to be renovated, and they couldn't physically set them aside anymore. But that went on for years at this school, and I also think a lot of homeschool students are also project-based learning. And I think that you can probably get a lot of wisdom from their pitfalls, from things that have gone wrong, from some people who are very, very experienced in that as well. And I would encourage you to include some of that as well in your learning. Thank you.
I think that one of the reasons that we know we need to slow it down as a team was because we needed to explore, we need to investigate, we needed to reflect, we need to look at the Odyssey program, and I'm going to say they, Dan and Ted, they are prepared to be a bit of the model that we can go look at. They're going to be in a fishbowl a bit, so that we can actually track their journey and get some feedback. But you're absolutely right. This notion about working together and learning together has been around a long time, and it always gets repackaged in different ways. And I think that we know a lot about education now, and we know from the past. We also know from the latest brain research that I think John Abbott will discuss more about at our next one on April the 24th. So we do know those things, and I really appreciate your comments. Thank you. And I know Bill Baird, who is in our audience, and he is a school trustee who is here tonight. I'm sorry, Bill, I had to.
Don't throw things. I suspect that you're going to have, before the end of next year, you're going to have kids in grade 9 and 10 and 11 saying, I want to do what those grade 8s are doing. They're out in the hall, they're enjoying themselves, they're having a great time. I heard a couple of them talking about how much fun they have. And it's really exciting for me to see us moving from your child learning from a teacher's teaching style to how they learn. So we're going from being taught to learning. It's not about teaching anymore, it's about learning. And I think that's really important, because I didn't learn from all my teachers because they taught a certain way. Get this away from me.
Oh, thanks. I'm here because I have a son here in grade 9, as well as a son in grade 6. So I'm excited that he'll be here for the 2014 launch, because I think he would really enjoy that. And we have a baby girl also. But I'm also here because I'm a teacher also in West Vancouver at Rockridge, and my colleagues, some of them went to High Tech High in the fall. And so we've gone on the same sort of path. But I'm so impressed, really impressed, and glad that my kids are going here. Sorry, it's just been really interesting watching this professionally and seeing the curriculum change that's going to be introduced over the next few years, and to know that the work that I'm doing in my school district, I think you're well ahead of us in some ways in terms of reconsidering the facilities aspect, the fact that you already have a plan in place for project-based learning for those grade 8s. And so my congratulations to you. But Anyway, I'm sorry. I think the baby kept me up last night, so I'm a bit overtired. But I was going to ask, now one of our sons is in grade 9, so some of these ideas for the project-based learning, are they inspiring any changes in teaching approaches in those courses that won't yet have had the curriculum change and will still have provincial exams and those kind of things? So will he be experiencing some of these just within the courses that he's taking still before he graduates?
Thank you for your comments. And I think that, it's one thing that when you're implementing something, some people want it, some people question it, some people think, oh my goodness, I missed it. Okay, so we're going to be dealing with a lot of that. But I want to assure you, I think that one comment I'd like to make, not only are all of these people here, but some of them are department heads, but we also have a department head group of 12 to 15 leaders in our school who have been part of this journey. And so we have a lot of interest. And I didn't mention Lacey Daly here also as a teacher who's doing a lot of work with us too. I missed you earlier, Lacey. But I do want to make a comment that changes are happening everywhere. And Dan, I'm going to refer to you again. Dan has been exploring project-based learning in his History 12. So as much as some of your kids might be missing it, I think that they're going to gain some benefits, especially in their senior years. Because the whole notion, again, is we want to, and I want to comment back to Bill, is that it's not about what the teachers are trying to transmit. It's really about our kids understanding how they learn. And that is really what we can actually help to promote.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I think that you articulated it the best I've heard in a long time, actually. Taking that
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that about me.
well, hey, and I'm not just saying that because you're my employer, but I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it. No, really, I mean, that was absolutely perfect. Taking the emphasis off of the teacher and putting it onto the learner. That's what we're really talking about. I'm competing with something. History 12, Paula. I decided, coming back from High Tech High, I was so fired up and transformed by the whole thing that it occurred to me that History 12 is a one-off. There's just the one class. They're big kids. They're not even kids at all. They're grown-ups. And I thought, well, here's a perfect group to experiment with. So it's obviously not project-based learning, but basically it's personalized learning, and basically I cut the course into halves. Half I called core with me, traditional style, the way we all went to school, and the other half, them. And they basically explore. It's inquiry and innovation. It expects of them to come up with questions, to look at the big historical topics in the 20th century, and out of that comes something emerges. For example, I'll just throw it out, something like, how do we make the world safe from nuclear war? And that just, it becomes organic. It goes off wildly in every direction. All of a sudden, the kids who aspire to science, they're going crazy with that. The people who are interested in art have all kinds of artistic images that come to them, and it just takes on a life of its own. So I think that's what you're asking about. So we've already started. We're learning. I'm keeping a journal all the time, by the way, of the, it's the first time I've ever kept a journal, by the way. This is such a journey. I thought I better remember all these experiences 3 months from now. And we are thinking about, if not next year, certainly the year after, with something like Socials 11. And you know what? So what if there's a provincial exam, right? We don't know if there will be or there won't be. We can't let provincial exams get in the way of kids learning. Come on, I mean, let's be real here.
Yeah.